Bearings Outdoors. I'm Sam Johnson.
And I'm Chris Sloan.
Chris and I are your Wild Bearings Outdoors hosts, where each episode we'll take you to one of our favorite watersheds to explore its history, scenery, and fly fishing opportunities. This episode is kind of special for Chris and me because we're taking you to the Chattahoochee River in our home state of Georgia. It's better known as the Hooch, and its source is high up in Chattahoochee National Forest in the mountains, flows literally through Atlanta's shadow, and eventually ends up in the Gulf of Mexico.
And aside from the Hooch's rich history and interesting facts and legends, it offers a wide variety of fishing, from trout in its high elevation mountain waters in North Georgia to bass and panfish in the southern part of the state. But in this episode, we're going to focus our attention on its tailwaters below Lake Lanier's Buford Dam, where its frigid waters are home to some great rainbow and brown trout. And we've invited our friend and national influencer, Macy Watkins, to come fish with us today. She's a mega social media influencer who specializes in the outdoor industry with an impressive resume and list of clients such as Mossy Oak, Bill, Plano, just to name a few, Sam. Macy's a true pioneer woman, avid bass and fly fisher, but also spends a heck of a lot of time hunting.
Now, Chris, I know Macy knows how to do the tournament bass thing and how to shoot turkeys and quail with a shotgun, but she's a little bit new to fly fishing, and she's never fished the Chattahoochee tailwater before. Is she going to be able to negotiate the shoals and currents and everything in this tailwater and catch those rainbows and browns with a fly rod?
That's a good question. We'll do our best to help her navigate the Hooch, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think we're probably about to get schooled.
Well, either way, we're going to be doing a lot of fly fishing, and throughout the day, we'll explore the sights and sounds of Buford Dam, Lake Lanier, Bowman's Island, the hatchery, and a heck of a lot more, including some history and legends about Georgia's largest river.
So come along with us on this episode of Wild Bearings Outdoors as we explore and fish the Chattahoochee River tailwater below Lake Lanier in North Georgia.
Let's go to the Chattahoochee River tailwater and catch some trout. I'm excited. I don't know about you, and you, are y'all excited about being on the tailwaters of the Chattahoochee River?
This is a great place to fish, and I just enjoy it so much. And I don't get to come here very often. We love it here. I'm hoping today we get on some fish. There's some weather coming in here in a little bit. I'm hoping that this fog lifts a little bit and the weather isn't too bad.
And you just have to say fishing and I'll be there. So I'm excited for today and love the Chattahoochee. It's a special place that I love spending time on, any part of the Hooch. And it flows right into Lake Lanier. Some of my best bass spots are just a few hundred yards that way.
So Macy, tell us, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Middle Georgia. It's a very, very small town called Gordon. It's in Wilkinson County. I went to college up in this area at University of North Georgia.
Wow.
Ended up staying in this beautiful area with tons of great fisheries.
How'd you get into this whole outdoor setting, this outdoor thing that we all love to do?
Well, I was brought up in, all the hobbies that we all enjoy. I took my dream job in the outdoor industry. I worked mainly in marketing. Eventually, I left that job because I grew my social following big enough, and it provided some opportunities that literally made me able to quit my job and really fish all the time and really promote my personal brand and have a lot of fun.
You've got over 1 million followers, I think, on TikTok, 200,000 or 300,000 on Instagram, so you got quite a bit of a following. And I think this outdoor lifestyle and experience really fits in well for you. I know you enjoy it, and it's not just about fishing for you. It's also about hunting and doing some of the other things that you enjoy doing outdoors.
I'm a woman who likes to do it all, so I don't focus on one thing. Though people do ask me which is my favorite, and I say fishing every time. it just hits me right here. It's my favorite thing to do.
You've got more experience bass fishing than you do fly fishing for trout. How'd you get into the trout fishing, and what's been your biggest challenge in doing that?
Fly fishing was not that popular growing up in that area, so it's just a matter of being up here long enough, making friends that fly fish, just surrounding myself with great people, great fly anglers, and you know, I just became one of them, and I truly enjoy the craft of it.
We're on the tailwater of the Chattahoochee River here in the middle of Georgia. What's your experience fishing this river?
I have not fished the tailwater. Like I said, I fish Lake Lanier very frequently that the Chattahoochee flows into, but first time on the tailwater down here.
I know you have a pretty diverse following.
A lot of people just like us followed me, outdoorsy people, a lot of Southerners, but as I grew, my content became more diverse and approachable. It's not even people that hunt or fish. A great part of my following is, but you know, everyone didn't grow up like we did, fishing, hunting, being outdoors, so they really tap into that and enjoy to watch those things on my profiles.
How do we get more women involved?
What we're doing right now, having a woman as a guest on a show, that's big strides that you can make. Representation and marketing, that's a huge thing.
Do you think it's just the entry into the sport makes it a little harder?
It is kind of intimidating because there's so much to it. I think I'm a prime example. I'm a bass angler, I'm a conventional angler, I'm a hunter, I'm a lot of things. And chose to take up fly fishing and become very passionate about it. I have a lot of people watching me on my fly fishing journey, and it's not something that I've always done and am the best at. I'm very thankful to have people who have taken the time with me.
Let's talk a little bit about the Chattahoochee River. A lot of people always ask, where'd the name come from, Chattahoochee? There are several stories here that the Muskegon Indians that were in this area named it. The word Chattahoochee means painted rock. And of course, when you go out on the river, and you'll see a lot of these rocks today, a lot of them will be almost orange in color. The Chattahoochee source is just north of Helen, Georgia, right off of the Appalachian Trail at a place called Jack's Knob and Chattahoochee Gap, and then flows south. And from there, it flows 516 miles to Apalachicola there at the Gulf of Mexico.
Up here on the upper tailwater, we're talking predominantly rainbows and browns that are in this water. The brown trout are definitely wild. If you catch a brown trout out of here, that is a wild brown trout, which is a pretty cool thing.
Macy, are you ready to go chase some of these fish?
Heck yeah, that's what I came for.
All right, well, let's go jump on it this morning. Getting ready to go after some trout.
I'm just looking to the guys. I'm gonna listen to what they have to say, what to throw, and just gonna show these old dudes how it's done.
Chattahoochee. Big T is a legend here, and one of his patterns is called the moonshine midge. This can be a good kind of midge imitator, got a copper tail, moonshine midge. Yeah, just a little further out off that line.
fished here. It's extremely cold. The water and the temperatures here that these trout live in are pretty frigid, but it's a hot summer day, so it's nice, and I'm confident that we'll get on them.
You can spend a lot of time messing with this, or you can do the quick thing and you can just start cutting.
Macy, Buford Dam was commissioned by Congress in 1946. They did it for two primary reasons. One was to control the flooding south of here that was caused by the watershed coming down and flooding the farms. And the other one was because a growing city of Atlanta, Georgia needed water. It started construction in March of 1950, and it took 6 years to actually build the lake.
Yeah, it was 1,069 feet is what the pool is at this morning.
You got 150 feet of water above you with a concrete and earthen dam standing between it and you. I get kind of nervous.
I do too.
When I think about that much water standing that tall behind a dam that was built by the lowest bidder.
It's funny because I've never thought of things on this side of the dam. I've usually been on the lake, and I always call to see what the release schedule is. When they release water, you need to be on your best spots,
Really?
on your best brush piles, because it will turn those fish on.
You know, Macy, I heard a story one time of two bass were in the lake up here, and they were swimming along side by side underwater, and they ran into a concrete wall, and one of them looked at the other one and said, "Damn."
This always hasn't been a cold water fishery. It used to be a warm water going all down through here until they built the dam.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of cold water that's coming down through here that creates this wonderful trout habitat that we have now flowing through this upper section, and then all the way down to the perimeter where you can catch trout all the way down, which is pretty phenomenal. This is only one of 3 trout fisheries in the world that runs through a population of 1 million plus. You have the Bow River up in Calgary, Canada, the Isar River in Munich, Germany. That's what makes this so unique here for us. We have this amazing watershed that holds some of the prettiest trout that you're ever going to catch.
Right down from the dam is an island called Bowman's Island.
Bowman's Island.
Yeah, can you fish both sides of that island?
You can fish both sides. The west side, it's a great area to fish. A lot of brown trout hold there, especially in the fall and in the spring. And so we may try that this afternoon.
Enough with the history lesson. I'm going to fish.
All right, fair enough, Macy. So here's what we're going to do this afternoon. We're going to hike down a little bit. We're going to cut in, hack our way into the water. We're going to fish this side of the water, and then we're going to hop over on the back side. Sometimes there's a lot of little browns hanging up in there, and we'll have a good time this afternoon.
Let's go do it.
Let's go do it. Back up into this little spot right up in here. Much better, very nice. Watch it, those fish will come up and nap it. Good, it's okay, strip it in. Oh, he came off! Oh! See if you can hit back over in there.
A lot of the historical references about how the Chattahoochee got its name was a Muskegon word that meant painted rocks. And of course, when you look at the rocks in the bottom of the Chattahoochee, these rocks are kind of orangey red colors depending on where you are on it. But it sure kind of looks like they were painted, so maybe the Muskegons had it right.
We burned this hole pretty good. We're gonna have to move. Has come in and the river is completely fogged up. We can barely see anything. We're going to see if we can work our way back up river now, cautiously. Good. Don't do anything. There he is. Oh! You got it. No, you got it. There he is. Easy, easy. Let's get him. Let's get him. All right.
Yeah, that's the joy I feel right now.
That was a fish. Did you see that? That looked like a little brown that turned. Well, listen, we had a great time on the water. We caught some fish today. It is a lot of fun, and it's slick. So you will bust your butt, right? We even lost our cameraman for a little bit, but I rescued him.
That was very noble of you.
It was. We had a lot of adversity today. We had some bad weather. We fished in the rain for quite a bit of time.
We are not your fair weather fishermen.
I hope you had a great time being out here for your first time on the Chattahoochee.
I did, and I thank you for guiding me, helping me with casting tips, because sometimes you can't see what you're doing, and having that second set of eyes really helps you. And I learned a lot about bugs from you, and honestly, I'm leaving. I had a lot of fun, but I'm always the one to leave unsatisfied, and it keeps me wanting to come back and catch more, especially those that I missed.
The first one you caught was on a bamboo fly rod, by the way. I do have to mention that. Tell us a little about some of the other unique aspects of the area here.
There's a lot of camping around here. They're great campgrounds. There's a good trail system up and down both sides of the river, which gives really good access. And of course, you got several islands up and down. Bowman being the largest one, which is probably a half a mile long. I feel like I walked nearly all of it today, by golly.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention, we'll kind of wrap it up here at the end of this episode, is that if you're going to come to the tailwater of the Chattahoochee River, you need to realize this part of the river has been cursed. Supposedly, some Muskegons, when they were forced out of this area back in the early 1800s, they put a curse on the river for all the people who would be visiting it subsequent to them, because they didn't want to leave, and they were forced to leave. So there are three things that we want you to remember. Number one, keep up with the release schedule. It's online. All you got to do is put Beaufort Dam release and find out when they're going to release water, so you know that you're not going to get caught out in the middle of it when a tidal wave comes down and washes you down into the Gulf of Mexico.
There's also a toll-free number that I call on the way to my fishing trips. So.
Absolutely. And also very slippery rocks. We recommend that you use aluminum studded or spiked fishing boots that'll keep you from sliding all over the water. Yeah. And I even had some on today, and I was still slipping and sliding around
all over the place,
especially on the east side of the island. And finally, if you do not have a PFD on, you will get a ticket, and
it's
sometimes
expensive.
Those tickets are in excess of $300.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm a waiting staff. I know you always see me carrying it, and you give me a little hard time about assisted living. But I'm going to tell you something, that waiting staff, it saves your butt. When
I got kind of jealous of it
got a
today
little
when I
jealous.
was wobbling and you were.
I'm gonna tell you, I was trekking through the waters. Great time today. We really enjoyed you being here today, and we look forward to fishing with you again.
Of course. And one thing, I always try to take away some tips, no matter who I fish with. I always try to leave knowing more than I did before, and I definitely have today from you two guys.
We appreciate it very much. Thanks for being here today.
Well, folks, that's about it for this episode of Wild Bearings Outdoors. Chris, it was a great day on the Chattahoochee River here in North Georgia, and a good way to end our first season of Wild Bearings Outdoors. I think I can speak for all of us when I say the Hooch is a truly legendary river in every respect.
It was definitely a great day. We caught some nice fish, and I always enjoy chasing those wild brown trout on the Chattahoochee River. We have this iconic river right here in our backyard. It's truly one of the prettiest places that you can experience the outdoors, fly fishing, and all the river has to offer. We'd also like to thank Macy Watkins for joining us today. I know we learned a thing or two from Macy about fly fishing for sure, and we learned a little bit about digital marketing, which was fantastic. I think she outfished you, buddy. Just saying.
Well, that's not hard to do sometimes, Chris. You know that. Join us for Season 2 of Wild Bearings Outdoors this fall, when in the first episode, we'll visit and fly fish the waters of the legendary Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina. You don't want to miss this one for sure. And in the meantime, don't forget to check out and subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel for more of Chris and my outdoor escapade. We hope to see you somewhere in the great outdoors. And remember, trout don't live in ugly places.